Hello, hello, hello. This is Maitre from Bluebird Leaders, and I'm here with Mariette Frey. I'm so excited about this interview for many reasons. Heard a lot of great things. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mariette, why don't you tell the people a little bit about what it is that you do in the healthcare IT space?
Yeah, so I work for a reseller that's partnered with Bluebird called CDW, and CDW is a technology reseller. We primarily work in my vertical around healthcare systems that have patients. So we don't work with the payer side of it or insurance or anything like that, but we really are getting into the systems, working with their IT leaders, their clinical leaders, and doing all kinds of things around the patient experience.
Oh,
So
you work with a lot of leaders in your profession.
I do. I do. I do. Yes.
But what is the major difference you see in terms of like working with, some of these healthcare IT leaders and maybe leaders from another industry? Do you notice any glaring differences?
I do. So I really think it's a sense of purpose. I came from the corporate side. I've been in our healthcare vertical for about 4 years. And when I meet with these healthcare leaders, whether they're in IT or on the clinical side, they really are all about the patient experience. They want to make sure that the outcomes for the patient are, everything from less wait times in their waiting rooms to better medical care, and how can they really innovate to make sure that they feel like they're taken care of, so it's not like it's health care, not sick care, right? So they really have this sense of purpose that they're always driving to what's best for not only their internal customers, being their doctors, their nurses, and anybody that's working within the hospital system, but also for you as a patient coming off the street, if your tax dollars are going to them, making sure that they're using them wisely, things like that. That in the on the corporate side, like it wasn't, the sense of purpose was different, right? So that they can actually see on the healthcare side the outcomes of every single dollar that they spend and how they are using it to, just really create an atmosphere within these systems that help people heal. So that's
Wow.
that's been the primary difference that I've seen.
And for you personally in your career, what do you think matters most?
Well, as a patient for myself, I mean, I'm in remission from Crohn's, and so I spent a lot of time in hospitals. So when I had the opportunity to come over to the healthcare side and really see how things were being determined for me as somebody that would be, possibly in the future being cared for, to me, it really drove my sense of purpose to make sure that I was bringing the right out, bringing the right solutions to these leaders. And I think that that had changed how I looked at my business, right? So as a leader for an IT reseller, there's a couple 100,000 products that we could sell someone, right? But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so that,
Yeah.
to us, we look at it as like, what are we doing to solve the business challenges and help the outcomes of what they're trying to do in their local community. So that's been really cool and something I've been really passionate about.
Oh, that's super awesome. Super
Yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah.
speaking of purpose, let's talk a little bit about Bluebird Leaders. You were at Aruba at the retreat. Let's talk about your experience.
Oh my gosh, it was so incredible. I mean, first of all, going to the SOAR conference alone, I did not anticipate it being like a family. Like I instantly, because as an outsider looking in, I'm not a director of IT or a VP of IT or in the C-suite per se. And so it didn't matter. It was a group of women lifting other women up in the healthcare industry with the same purpose. And so when they were telling us about Aruba, first of all, I needed a vacation. I was going through a move, right? So I was relocating first, and I definitely was like, oh my gosh, that would be an amazing vacation. But then the more they talked about the retreat itself and what we would be learning and how we would be connecting, um, it just seemed like such a different level for me. And I've been on a million retreats. I've been very lucky in my life to take in a lot of really cool business type retreats. And what was different about this is that it was very small and intimate, and we had just so much knowledge share. And I think that that
Mm,
was one of those things that, we went around the room to do introductions, and we all were so um, vulnerable. We were very outgoing about what we
mm,
wanted to get out of the retreat, and it far exceeded my expectations. So I think that what Rebecca and Dawn are doing is just an incredible testimony to the relationships they have, to how they look at it from a different perspective. And the people that they brought in to speak, there were a couple different people outside of them. It just was a really good indicator of like what direction Bluebird's going, and it's just up and to the right. So
wow. Wow. What advice would you give somebody who's just like right on the fringe, like maybe considering joining, but maybe a little apprehensive? What would you say to that person?
I would say take the chance. You're going to get out of it what you put into it, right? So bringing your energy and your willingness to learn and open up your mindset. I think that that was really important for me, to just not go in with any judgment on what I was going to take away from it, but really making sure that I was bringing that, energy to the party. And it was so cool because still today on like my text chain, like we've got a huge text chain going with every woman that was there, and we're still talking to each other every single day, right? So
Oh,
there's
wow.
like 30 texts that we do every day, and we're lifting each other up, and we're sharing wins, and we're sharing losses too. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and so it's been incredible to be able to say like, oh, look at this, and and have 20 people respond and be like, oh my gosh, good for you. So I think that it's not just while you're at the conference, right? This is like friendships that I feel like last, and I could see being friends with some of these women forever. So I think that you go for the content, but you stay for the friend.
Wow. Powerful words. I
Thanks.
appreciate you, Mariette. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.